Well, hello folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up that screen. Okay, 3 stocks that I'm buying and why. And that's Ilus, CYBL, and SIRC. We're going to get into all of that. And we're also going to talk about the OTC markets or penny stocks. All right, so if you're watching this video, you probably either own penny stocks or you're interested in them. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about it a little bit, because investing in the OTC is not like regular investing. So you need to know that. You need to go into it with your eyes wide open. Okay, you're going to meet some real characters if you go online and social media with stock twits and Reddit and all that. It's going to be a lot like this.
He doesn't like you.
I'm sorry.
I don't like you either. You just watch yourself. We're wanted men. I have the death sentence on 12 systems.
Yeah, it's almost, I think that's the same people. I think that's the same guy I've dealt with. It gets really rough. It is the wild, wild west, and you're going to hear all kinds of stuff. And look, if that kind of thing bothers you, and, you know, negativity and shorts coming after you and all of that, and I'll explain shorts as well, you know, OTC is not for you. You know, I'm just letting you know, you're going to be dealing with incredible volatility. You're going to be dealing with information that gets thrown at you that's so negative you almost can't believe it. And it's not like investing in Meta or Walmart or Coca-Cola or any of those, even Neo, for example. You know, you're not going to get that much crap. But if you're in the OTC, you're going to get it heaped on you big time. So you really need to be prepared, because it's going to come at you.
Give them nothing, but take from them everything.
Yep, definitely better steel your spine for the ride, because it's going to get brutal. Now, the 3 stocks that I'm looking at buying are all profitable, and that's why I'm so interested in them and why I have bought them. Right now, I'm not buying anything in the OTC that's not profitable. I am holding a few stocks that I bought on speculative terms, but the ones that I am buying, like I said, they're profitable and the financials are quite good. And that's why I've been adding to my position, or I started a new position like I did with SIRC. Now, what I do to handle the stress of OTC markets and penny stocks is I practice the 10% rule. And the first rule in the 10% rule is this.
Now here at The Rock, we have 2 basic rules. Memorize them so that you can say them in your sleep. The first rule is, obey all rules.
That's right. That's really important. Obey all rules. Now, what I do is I put 10% of my portfolio approximately into the OTC, and I do not exceed that as far as money in. Now, if my stocks were to run up and they got above 10%, that's fine. I would probably take profit anyway, which I typically would do, especially in this environment. But 10% is my rule, and that allows me to sleep at night and be fine. And if something bad happens, it's not that big a deal. And I'm talking about 10% total. I don't mean 10% in this OTC, 10% in this stock, 10%. No, I'm talking about 10% total. But, you know, look, it's your risk level. You figured out. But, you know, if you're somebody that has trouble gambling and it gets to you, and next thing you know, you're at Vegas and you come home with no shirt and no shoes, OTC is not for you. That's just my opinion. Now I'm going to get off my soapbox and start talking about these 3 companies. And quickly with Ilus, understand this is a fire and safety sector company. Most of you probably know that. If you don't, then I've got tons of videos. Matter of fact, I'm going to attach 3 videos at the end of this that go into some deep due diligence on Ilus, CYBL, and SIRC if you want in-depth. What I'm going to do now are summaries, and I'm just going to go over it fairly quickly because there are 3 stocks to cover, and I know you're not going to sit here for a 45-minute lecture about these stocks. I'm going to cover it pretty quickly. But if you look at the market cap of Ilus, it's at $82 million, okay? So 1.3 billion shares, and then you go to their financials, and this is their latest quarter, April through June, and they did a total sales of $19 million, 19.6 to be exact. And let's understand this company was doing around 3, 4, 5 million the quarter before, so it's up over 500%, and that's incredible growth. And I really like growth. You know, you're going to be looking for that in the OTC. And understand most of these, these normally aren't value stocks or anything close to it. It's certainly not on a trailing PE. A lot of times you won't even see any type of a PE, not even a forward one. But with this one, it is profitable. And as you can see here, they did $1.1 million in sales, and their revenues continue to rise. They had been around a 15% net profit margin, which was absolutely fantastic and pretty typical for fire and safety. But this one, they had so much growth, and I think they had some acquisition costs because they are acquiring companies that hurt their net income. It wasn't bad, but it's not as good as we're used to. So that slowed me down a little bit on Ilus, but it is a profitable company. And the market cap, you can see here, if you multiplied that times 4, it'd be about $4.5 million forward PE divided into 80. And, it's not too bad. It's in the high teens. It's not great, but it's not too bad. Now, again, forward PE is not as valuable as trailing. All right, now this next stock is CYBL, CYBERLUX, and they do a lot of business with the military, Air Force, Marines, Army, etc. They sell not only LED lighting solutions, but also software as a service, platform as a service, and they have become highly profitable over the last several months, and this stock interests me greatly. There is one major issue with this company, and if you're not familiar with the OTC markets, this is not good. They have a yield sign, which means right here, pink limited information, and companies that have limited disclosure or financial information publicly available but meet a minimum requirement for public quoting, etc., you can buy and sell it. That's an issue because what they did, and according to their CEO, they were using the SEC format and not the OTC format. And that is a problem. So they've had to redo their financials with this new format. They did the second quarter, they actually just fixed it and did it using the OTC format, but they're having to do 20 and 21. So it's going to be a while, according to their CEO, and it may be a while if this yield sign's sitting there. I bought it with my eyes wide open, yield sign, which is dangerous, but I felt like that yield sign was priced in. So I was comfortable with it under those circumstances. Highly speculative to mess around with the yield sign. You usually shouldn't do it. So I'm taking a risk here. So this is extra risk. And the reason that I'm doing it is the market cap is $59 million, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute. They've got, 5.3 billion shares, and the price is right around a penny, I believe. Yeah, right at 1 penny, 1.1. And with CYBERLUX, again, we'll take a look at their financials. They have a nice balance sheet, $2 million in cash, $14 million in assets, which is up almost $5 million from the quarter before. But way more important to me is this. $8 million in revenue, up from $367,000 the year before. And they're calling for in the low 40s in total revenue for this year. So third and fourth quarter should be much stronger than the first and second. But when you look at this margin, gross margin of $5.6 million, which is fantastic. And then income from operations, $2.6 million. Take your interest expense out of there. I don't care about this gain on stock. It just doesn't move me. What moves me is what they can do in a recurring fashion. And I'm seeing 2.5 million. Well, multiply that times 4 is 10 million into 60 million. So that's a really low forward PE ratio. That interests me greatly. So again, that's why I've been buying CYBL. I think for me, this is a good buy. The risk is worth it to me. It is high risk, but it could be a really good reward down at the end of the day. All right, now we're going to talk about SIRC. I just bought it today. And I've been following it for a while now, and it's just gotten to where I needed to pull the trigger on it. It interests me that much. And this is Solar Integrated Roofing Corporation, and they not only do solar roofing, but they also do EV charging. And this one's got a lot of juice in it because of the most recent bills that were signed, infrastructure bill by Biden, and then the Inflation Reduction Bill, where they're spending $700 billion, and they call it an Inflation Reduction Bill.
How dare you!
Yeah, well, Greta, shut up, Greta. But anyway, it's going to help SIRC. And let's take a look at their profit margins. But first, their market cap is under $200 million. Now let's look at their financials. All right, and this is why I bought SIRC. They went from $8 million in the second quarter of 2021 to $66 million. Okay, that's like what, 7-8 times? That's an amazing growth rate. Gross profit of $30 million. After their expenses, net income of $21 million, up from a loss of $4 million. and a net income of almost $19 million. Now multiply that times 4 and then put it into the 190 some odd million dollar market cap, and you're looking at a tremendous forward PE. So that interests me greatly. So I went ahead and bought SIRC. Now we're going to take a look at these 3 companies on the chart. This is Ilus's chart, and I started buying this at 5 cents back in the day, and I've made a couple of buys at one at 20 and one at 10. And then also I just bought at 6. It is sitting at 7. So I'm actually a little bit down on this particular stock, which is kind of surprising. At one point I was up 900%. But I am dollar cost averaging and adding to my position. And I'm just going to let this one kind of run for a while because I do like their financials long term. I like their plans. And they seem to be pretty much doing what they say they're going to do. So I'm going to stick with this one. All right, now CYBERLUX sitting at 1 penny. And it's way down from its highs of 6 cents. So I feel like I'm getting this pretty darn close to the bottom. It bounced off the 1 penny, and that's where I bought it yesterday, and now it's sitting at 1.1. So, you know, I'm just real comfortable where I'm at and buying this one, and I've been adding. But again, remember, yield sign. Now this is SIRC, and I think at one point this thing was way up where it ran with the penny stocks and ran as high as a couple of bucks. But now it's sitting down here at 30 cents. And I actually bought today at 29 is where I grabbed it because I felt like there was some support right here. It's broken through down to this support, which is right here, which is right at this price, around 30 cents. And I actually bought at 31 and 29. And I think I accidentally bought at 29 twice. So I ended up with a little bit more than I expected, which is fine. I don't care. I was planning on dollar cost averaging anyway. So if this thing were to drop, it really has no reason to drop, but it could because it did have this big run from 18 cents up to 60. But I waited for it to pull down to 30, which would have been basically a 50% cut and getting much closer down here into these levels. But realize, this thing, not only did it get the news of the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, which is going to help solar companies big time, but also their second quarter blew it out of the water. I mean, that was fantastic financials. So I'm pretty comfortable buying here. If it drops, I'll just add more. If it doesn't, I'll just ride it. But this is one I think I can make some money on long term. I do like that category as well in that sector. All right, folks, and that's 3 stocks I'm buying and why in the OTC markets. So, always take caution when you're buying those type of stocks. And, this is just what I'm doing. It's your money. You do as you please. But this is what I'm doing and why. And if you like this type of content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover these type of stocks. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on Mr. Frugal Investor.